This is Ernst Johansson, founder of the company we know today as Boxon. In 1932, he started his first business, a small sawmill deep in the forests of southern Sweden. In 1939, Johansson became a partner in Ramlösa Lådfabrik in Helsingborg, also in southern Sweden. The company manufactured handmade wooden boxes for local farmers and small businesses. These early years were hard work in basic conditions. In 1946, the plant was destroyed by fire. However, a new plant, also in Helsingborg, was opened for business just a year later. In 1954, Johansson became the sole owner of the company, now called Helsingborgs Emballagefabrik AB. In the beginning of the 60s, the company had 6 employees and sales worth the equivalent of €100,000. We were still a small company, but one with a bright future. A cooperative supplying vegetables was established in Helsingborg, and they needed large numbers of boxes to pack and transport the produce. An agreement was reached between the co-op and Helsingborgs Emballagefabrik. This marked the start of substantial growth in the company. 10 years later, Helsingborgs Emballagefabrik had increased annual sales to €1 million. A lot of money back then. In 1965, the company began offering other packaging materials: craft paper, paper tissues, and corrugated paper, a US invention and a brand new product on the European market. By now, the company had become a wholesaler, which meant it was less dependent on its own production. Partnerships were formed with manufacturers, some of which are still in place today, 50 years later. In 1966, Helsingborgs Emballagefabrik had grown out of its building and a modern warehouse was built, close to the old one. The new building covered some 2,200 square meters. Johansson continued to manage the company on a day-to-day basis, making a point of staying very close to the business. His hands-on style has become the hallmark for the future of the company's culture. In 1969, it was time to hand over responsibility for the company to the next generation. Johansson's oldest son, Ingmar Ilfors, took over as managing director, and his second son, Kurt, joined the company as marketing and purchase manager. Johansson Sr. stayed on as chairman. At the beginning of the 70s, products made from corrugated paper really took off, with a large number of functions for corrugated packaging being developed. The company offered a wide range of standard articles, not only corrugated, and had 800 different products in stock. To organise the article numbers, the company bought its first computer already in 1973. Clearly an early adopter and curious about the future. During the 70s, Helsingborgs Emballagefabrik increasingly took on an advisory role with customers, providing advice on packaging and new solutions. The industrial segment grew in importance, and by the mid-70s, the company had 25 employees. Although Johansson had stepped back from daily responsibilities, he made a point of coming into the plant on Fridays to wish staff a nice weekend. In 1979, he passed away. His down-to-earth approach and genuine interest and passion for the business and its employees formed the company culture we have today. We call it responsibility. Helsingborgs Emballage made its first acquisition in 1982, a company based in Stockholm. This was the start of a period of rapid growth and expansion outside Helsingborg. By the end of the decade, the company was established in the Swedish cities of Norrköping and Västerås. A network of warehouses was established to serve customers across Sweden. In 1987, a new type of packaging was introduced to the market, big bags, which were based on a technique from the textile industry. Once again, the company was leading development in the packaging industry. The company had outgrown its facilities in Helsingborg, which had been built in the 60s. In 1989, the company moved to its current location, northeast of Helsingborg, to a 6,000 square metre warehouse. In 50 years, Helsingborgs Emballagefabrik had grown from 160 square metres to 6,000 square metres. During this period, our packaging traded under the name Emba Pack AB. In 1995, the company took a major step by becoming international with the acquisition of a German company specialising in big bags. Now called Boxon GmbH, it has its head office in Düsseldorf. 2 years later, it was time for the third generation to lead the company. Ingmar Ilfors's oldest son, Anders, became managing director, following his father's retirement. Ingmar remained on the board of directors until 2013, and he continues to follow the development of the company with great interest. Another significant step this year was changing our name to Boxon. This also marked the formation of a unified company, which had previously operated under many different names based on location. The generational transition was complete in 1999, when the third generation, represented by Anders, Per and Lena, took full ownership of Boxon. This would prove to be the start of an exciting journey, with the new generation at the helm of the company. The new millennium marked the start of a period of rapid development, with the drive and desire to develop Boxon into what we are today. To grow the size and competence of the company, several acquisitions have been made, both in Sweden and abroad. During this 15-year period, Boxon has, on average, acquired one company a year, a fantastic achievement. Not only that, we have also built new businesses from scratch. 2004 saw the launch of Boxon Tech, a service for the development and manufacture of injected moulded trays used by the automotive industry. In 2011, Boxon China opened for business, enabling us to stay close to our key accounts and provide them with new solutions. In 2013, by acquiring BAB, Boxon entered into labels and traceability, being the first packaging company combining the obvious, namely packaging solutions with labelling and marking solutions. Having identified the trend towards automation in packaging sales, we launched our automation unit in 2017. We call this innovation. To dare to open new horizons is part of Boxon's DNA. We have also developed and improved our competence and customer offer by adding machines and services, labelling and traceability, marking and coding, logistics solutions, construction and design, and innovation. And here we are, almost 90 years later. 270 employees, 7 countries, and 120 million euros in sales. We are Boxon, the packaging company. Welcome to the future.